one thing to note, and a lot of residential contractors miss this, is that sometime around, I think it was 2000, 2001, maybe 2002, the legislature enacted a statute that says if you are going to do work in the residential context, specifically, it's in 713.015, and it says that any direct contract between an owner and a contractor related to improvements to real property consisting of either a single or multiple family dwelling up to 4 units has to have a lien notice. Okay? Now, originally, when the legislature put this out, they said you got to have this lien notice, and the lien notice needs to be 18-point font. Okay? It's got to be 18-point font, and it's got to be in your contract. Now, this is a statutory warnings page that I prepare for residential contracts. It's got all the statutory warnings that are required on it. And up here, you'll see the lien law warning. Okay? I currently have it in 14-point font, although you can have it in 12-point. The reason I have it in 14 is just for consistency purposes. But you can imagine 18-point font took up about 3/4 of the page. And when residential owners got that document, or got that within the contract, you can imagine what happened. Okay? The first thing they did is they said, look, we're not gonna be doing any business with you because there's this giant lien law warning. We're going to go down the street to the next guy or to the unlicensed contractor. So a few years later, the contractors were complaining to the legislature, and they said, look, we got to change this. We got to do something about it. So there was a change. I believe it was in 2004, where they said, fine, we'll change it. We'll agree to change it. You can do it in 14-point font, but it's got to be on the first page of your contract. Well, as you can imagine, that's even worse, because residential owners would get your contract, and that would be the first thing that they see. It basically, it says, if you don't pay us, we're going to lien you. Okay, that's not the way to get business. So contractors went back to the legislature. They argued again. They said, look, we've got to have more changes. And finally, in 2007, they have the current change, which is you can have it in 12-point font, and it can be on a separate page, just like I have here. But you have to have the customer sign it. So the question I get a lot is, Trent, I'm out here, I'm doing residential work primarily. How can I go about giving this warning and the other warnings I got to give without scaring the homeowner? And what I always tell clients, I say, look, the way to do it is distinguish yourself. This is showing that you are following the law, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and your competitors might not have this. So it's a way to distinguish yourself. Turn a negative into a positive. And you can do that by providing sort of a cover letter explaining it, or you can go and talk to them in person, either at the time of the signing of the contract or afterwards. As long as you get it signed, that's primarily what the statute is concerned with. What happens if you don't get this thing signed? What happens if you don't have this in your contract? Well, what will happen is, if it was prior to 2007, you lose your lien rights. Okay, you're absolutely done. You lose your lien rights, and you don't have the ability to get your lien. After 2007, the owner has to show that he or she was prejudiced by not receiving the lien notice. Okay, and I can tell you from first-hand experience that actually being able to show prejudice, the prejudice standard, is very difficult to show. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, it's a tiger without teeth at this point, but I would still have it in your contract, especially if you're doing residential work.